Hey everyone, it's Sydney.
And Natalie.
And we're here to read a very fun and festive story for you guys. I'm wearing a very festive headband. It's red with two green shiny Christmas trees on the top with two red stars.
Super cute. And I'm also wearing a festive headband, and it's a snowman with his arms in the air. Woo!
Woo!
And he has a red hat, red gloves, and a red bow.
So today we're going to be reading Olive, the Other Reindeer by J.Otto Seibold and Vivian Walsh. Olive, the Other Reindeer. Every day, Olive took her daily dog walk. Winter, spring, summer, or fall. Today was a winter's day. It was the holidays. There was music playing outdoors. People were singing along.
Olive, the other reindeer.
Olive was too shy to sing. She hummed. In this picture, we see Olive, who's a small brown and white dog, walking on the sidewalk with people much bigger, and they're carrying bags and presents, and all the store windows are filled with festive holiday decorations and toys for kids on Christmas. And on the road, the public bus is driving, and we also see a delivery truck, and there's Olive right at the center marching down the street. And on the other page, we see Olive again, and there's a song blasting on the speakers of the sidewalk. Back at her doghouse, Olive was wrapping presents and listening to the radio. She heard that same song again.
Olive, the other reindeer,
went the song.
Olive, the other reindeer.
Olive sang along.
Olive, the other reindeer, said Olive. I thought I was a dog. I must be a reindeer.
It was the time of year when all reindeer reported to the North Pole to help Santa Claus. Olive put down her scissors carefully and marched out the door. Here we see Olive in her doghouse sitting on the ground holding some scissors in her hand, and she's wrapping all the boxes and toys for her friends and family while listening to the radio sitting on a shelf with the song Olive, the Other Reindeer playing on the speakers. She took one bus and then two buses.
And then on this page, you see a busy street. The bus is yellow and red, and it's full with people, including Olive. And then on the other page, there's a snow-covered mountain, and Olive is riding in a snowmobile. As a person drives it up the hill, you see lots of green trees and a penguin sitting on floating ice, and it's much more wintry than the other page.
She got there just in time. Santa was checking his list for the second time. Elves were busy helping the reindeer and loading the sleigh with presents for all the good girls and boys. Everyone was getting ready to go.
And then on this page, Olive finally makes it to the North Pole, and you can see her in her little footprints trudging through the snow. And then she's approaching all of Santa's reindeer. They all have big horns and cute eyes, and they have red on them, and so they're like connected together on the sleigh that they're going to lead. And then in the corner you see Santa's house, and Santa's reviewing the list of all the boys and girls, just the children, and his house is red, and you see the elves peeking through, and it's so bright and fun.
Olive took her place. Santa noticed that there was a little dog in the lineup. Santa knew a lot about dogs. For instance, they can't fly. But as it was time to go, he decided to give Olive a chance. Comet, the biggest reindeer, used a piece of extra ribbon to make sure Olive was tied in safe and tight. Now they were ready to go.
And then on this page, you see how Olive is such a small dog that she can't fit into the collar that the reindeer wear. So then the next page, you see Comet kindly wrapping her in blue ribbon as the stars twinkle behind them. You can tell that she's really secure and that she's going to be able to fly with them.
Olive was surprised it was so easy to fly.
On this page, the bright blue sky fills the whole page with all of the bright white twinkling stars. You can see all of the reindeer, including Olive, flying through the sky, and as all the reindeer fly in a line, you can tell that Olive is hanging down below, connected to this string, which is also connected to all of the reindeer, and Santa's right behind them in his bright red sleigh, and he has all the presents, and he's leading them on their way.
The other reindeer were very curious about the new helper. They looked at Olive so much, they weren't watching where they were going.
And once again, you see Olive hanging from that same ribbon, but now instead of all of the reindeer facing straight ahead on track, they're all looking behind themselves, wondering, what's the dog doing here? So they're distracted, looking down, looking to the side, not straight forward on the same track.
Crash! They flew smack into the top of a too tall tree. "Oh dear," said Santa. "My sleigh is stuck in this tree. I'll have to cut it free." Olive clung to the side of the tree. She tried to fly up to help Santa, but she could not. She climbed up slowly and started chewing. Chewing sticks was something Olive could do well. "Thank you, Olive," said Santa Claus as they got back on their way.
Here you can see how the reindeer and Santa are all tangled up in the tall green trees. Santa looks a little bit worried as his arms are up, wondering what happened. All of the reindeer look quite confused, but Olive knows what to do, so small Olive is sitting on the tree and is ready to chew away at the branches to unleash them free.
They had not traveled far when Olive's nose began to twitch. Olive smelled trouble. It was the smell of gumdrop candies as they fell from the sleigh. Drop, drop, drop. Olive barked and Santa knew what to do. He steered the reindeer down and around so that all of the gumdrops fell, plop, 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 back into the toy sack.
Here, multicolor rainbow gumdrops, yellow, purple, green, blue, even black, are all flying through the sky from Santa's bag. On the other page, you see how Santa, once again, is like, "What's going on?" As all of the candy flies out. He holds his bag, but everything is just in the air, all over the place. "We were very lucky to not lose a single gumdrop," thought Olive. Then she heard a strange sound. It was a musical note.
She spun around on her string to see the night sky filled with falling flutes. Olive had to howl louder than the wind instruments. This was not music to Santa's ears. "First gumdrops and now flutes," thought Santa. "That tree must have torn a hole in my sled." "Prepare for emergency landing," Santa instructed. And on this page, you can see all the flutes flying through the air as the sound they make goes ee, high-pitched as all the wind blows through them with all of their different holes that make different notes. And Olive, you can still see, is hanging from the same string, just wondering what might happen. The sleigh landed in a snowy field full of flutes. Luckily, Olive was very good at fetching sticks. It's something dogs love to do. Before Santa had finished patching the hole in the sleigh, Olive had returned each and every flute back to the sack. "Ho, ho, ho," said Santa. "We're ready to go." On this page, Santa and his sleigh are parked on the snowy hills after they
had their emergency landing, and little Olive is skipping through the snow, all white, grabbing the flutes as if she were playing fetch with a stick. You can see that the flutes are stuck in the snow, they're lodged in, so that makes it so that she has to grab it out and skip, and you can see her little paw prints showing that she's been running back and forth, bringing them all back to Santa.
They were running late, but after a while, all the good children received their presents, and Santa and his team headed home.
On this page, once again, Santa is back up and flying. All of the reindeer and Olive, once again hanging from the string, are flying through the dark night sky. The bright white stars are clear and visible because now they're no longer landed on the white snow. Now they're flying through a town. On one page, you can see a tall tower. It's red. It almost looks like the Eiffel Tower, so nice and tall and triangular. And on the other part of the page, you can see how Santa and all the reindeer are going directly above children's houses. In one through the window, you can see two good kids sleeping with their dog on a soft bed, maybe thinking about what they might get the next morning. Yes.
They were almost home when they got caught in the dreaded North Pole fog. The reindeer slowed down until it was only the breeze that moved them along. The fog was as thick as a pillow. It made everyone feel sleepy. Then Santa remembered something about dogs. They are expert smellers. "Olive, I'd hate to be late for breakfast this year," he said. "Mrs. Claus has planned a parade of cookies. You can almost smell them, can't you?" Olive could smell the cookies. "Olive, won't you guide my sleigh this morning?" asked Santa. Olive moved to the front of the reindeer.
On this page, you can see Olive has her little head tilted up, her nose sniffing what seems to look like a brown cloud of nice-smelling cookies. A gingerbread dances in that cloud along with the Christmas tree, representing all of the different scents that Santa Claus is looking for when he goes back to Mrs. Claus. Santa Claus is on the page exclaiming and talking to Olive, his mouth opened, his arm up in question, wondering if Olive can do this task of leading the sled.
Thanks to Olive's nose and Mrs. Claus's baking, they made it all the way back to the North Pole. All of the elves sang out a cheer.
"Hooray, hooray! Santa and the reindeer and the little doggy are back!"
On this page, you can see Olive standing on the head of the lead reindeer, leading them back to the North Pole. And then on the next page, you can see Mrs. Claus, all the elves, the snowmen, and the penguin, all waiting for them to come back. And the North Pole is a big white castle-looking building with a red roof and hearts and candy canes and toys and Santa's helicopter and everything decorating the house. There's a little banner above the door with a wreath that says welcome, to welcome Santa and all the reindeers back. And then off to the side, you can see the reindeer's barn where they live and sleep with some Christmas decorations on those too. And Mrs. Claus is holding her freshly baked pan of cookies, and the smell is going all the way up to Olive, who can guide the sleigh back to the North Pole. Back at the North Pole, it was a glorious morning. After eating lots of good food, it was time to open presents. The reindeer got jump ropes, and the elves got toy trains. Santa reached into his toy sack. There was just one present left. It was for Olive. It was her very own set of reindeer antlers. They fit perfectly. Then everyone went outside to play reindeer games.
On this page, Santa and Mrs. Claus stand closely together, admiring everyone looking happy on Christmas. The reindeers are there with their jump ropes. The elves are there too, smiling, so happy that it's Christmas. You see presents opened, lying around. Hats and festivities are hung up as they're finally home. And there's sparkle just showing all of the magic. And then Olive is sitting there and looking up happily at Mr. Santa and Mrs. Claus, and she's just so happy because Santa's holding out her very own antlers, specially made for Olive, and you can just tell that they're gonna fit her perfectly. They're the same size as her head. They're a beautiful shade of beigeish white, and they even have little strings attached so that she can tie them around her neck and just make sure they're nice and snug. And yeah, the page is a nice orange color, just radiating the happiness of Christmas.
The end! Happy holidays!